It's time for Halloween 2 and Halloween Kills. On October 30th, 1981, audiences found out just where Michael Myers had disappeared to at the end of the previous film, John Carpenter's classic 1978 Halloween. Now, 40 years later, we are celebrating that sequel, a sequel which many folks have claimed they enjoy watching even more than the original. Our guest scheduled for tonight is Mr. Pat Jankiewicz, who is having a little bit of technical difficulties coming on the show, but we're going to get him on. I promise. But he wrote the definitive retrospective of Halloween 2 for Fangoria magazine. Also, we are finally going to be breaking down and giving our opinions on Halloween Kills. We're going to be comparing the two films since both of them are both sequels. And what's kind of weird, they're both kind of sequels to the same movie a little bit. Anyways, happy Halloween, everybody, and welcome to the Scare Guy Show, the official production of thescareguy.com, where we as filmmakers and movie fans, we discuss horror films, haunt events, spooky news, or as Danae likes to call it, spoopy. Is that right?
I'm not the only one that calls it that, but yes, spoopy.
Spoopy news, anything that's scary, fun. My name is Jim Fry. I'm one of your horror hosts tonight. I'm a writer and editor for Scare Guy and our brother site or sister site, The Con Guy. My co-horror host for tonight's show. Let's start with, there's a ghost up there. Ghost, why don't you tell us who you are?
Hi, y'all. It's me, KT_Christine.
I'm relieved.
But, I figured this might have been appropriate for tonight's show. So I couldn't think of, I have a lot of Halloween costumes to plan. So tonight I am a ghost. I am going to the most easiest, fast costume one can think of, but also works for this show. So hi, everybody.
I love that. Okay, which sampling's going first?
Go ahead, Danae.
Oh, hey, I'm Danae Sands. I'm half of the Samblings, half of the Con Girls. Very excited to talk Halloween. I've only seen the first one, which was with Jim and Luke, and it was also after my first Halloween in LA. And I'll share more about that when we talk Halloween memories in a minute. But I'm excited, and I can't see. Hold on.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling of not being able to see.
And what's interesting is Katie's ghost has the whole Michael Myers heavy breathing going on as well. I think she's breathing right into the microphone.
Is that what that is?
All right. Derek.
Hey, I am Derek. I'm the other half of the Samblings and one of the original and regular of the Con Guy. Yeah, and I'm, not the biggest horror fan, and sometimes you guys are still introducing me to some horror things.
I love it when Derek comes on the show because Derek is not he's not a horror fan, but I know that Danae
I can appreciate it.
Yeah,
when it's done well. Yeah.
Derek, you saw the original Halloween, right?
I watched it with you. Is that just last year?
Yeah, you were there when I saw it the first time.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
We watched it during the day, I think.
And Luke Cheeseman on the couch will be joining us shortly. He is actually on the phone with our special guest for tonight, Pat Jankiewicz, trying to get his camera to work so that he can log into the show here. So, anyways, we're going to start by talking about something really cool. And Katie, especially, you were kind of talking a little bit about, like, you have all these costumes that you, oh, look at this. Look at this. It's just appeared out of nowhere. It is it's a pumpkin ale. It's a pumpkin ale. Everybody, cheers to whatever is in front of you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy Halloween week, everybody. This is the week that the Scare Guy kind of lives for. This is a great week. I know that for those of you who are here, you're invited to a party over at Jim's house this week if you want to show up on the 30th. The 30th, which also happens to be the night, 40 years hence, that Halloween 2 premiered. All right, Katie, tell us about your costumes a little bit.
Okay, well, tonight I'm just dressed as a final girl because I have a lot of costumes that I have to do. So you get a final girl minus before she gets all bloody and everything. So, you know, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. And yeah, at work, we are having a theme every day of the week. So starting tomorrow, we have a theme every day, and I've had to try to put together 5 looks for work. And you would think as a cosplayer it would be easy, but no, my brain is like, but there's everything and anything, and like Halloween's a little different than cosplaying because you're like, Halloween is different. Like, you know, it's hard to explain, but I could go on a big long story about it. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I've been working on mine. I was going to make something for tomorrow, and then I went to Joann's and was not successful at finding fabric because, you know, I waited till Halloween week. So we have to do a music theme tomorrow if we want to participate. So I may or may not be taking it back to like 1999, 1998 with my look tomorrow. Which I don't want to really tell you guys. I think you should just follow my Instagram because you know I'll be posting all of them there. But yeah.
Hey, Katie, I do have to introduce somebody.
That's fine.
And, okay. It looks like Luke has been able, or wait. Cheeseman, I'll let you come on and introduce our guest when you get a chance. Are you ready? There's Cheese. Who's that? Oh, Luke, he just went away. We lost him.
Oh no.
Gotta love technical difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Pat, you were
I was
just about to let you into the
Can
studio.
I just say I'm so excited to do the show like in person with you guys again, because I didn't really join Con Guy until like after COVID and we were all doing it online, and I'm excited to go to a studio. Like Katie and I've got some stuff planned. It's gonna be amazing. Sorry, Jim, I didn't mean to step on you.
Regularly. Danae was there a couple of times. But I think that was about it.
I'm sorry, Derek. What I was interrupting you. My bad.
We just started at the same time. Sorry. I was just saying back when we were in a studio, Danae was there a couple of times just as a guest. But then she became a regular when we were just, you know, like this, doing it from home all the time. Oh, there he is.
There we go. Is that Pat Jankiewicz?
I'm you live from Alice in Wonderland Effect.
Hey, Pat, are you close to internet?
This is as close as I'm going to on this. Is it too crowded?
Oh, no. You're a little bit breaking up. How's your reception? Pat's one of the coolest guys. He is so friendly and such a good guy.
So good to see all of you. You're well. How is it coming in now this fine Halloween week?
You're a little bit quiet still.
Do I change positioning? Does this help at all?
That sounds great. Pat, that's a lot better.
Sounds great. The video's not so great. Video's like doing freeze frame.
That's all. I'm 6'9". I need horror. Hold on. Let's see. All right, let me try. How about now?
You sound great. You know what? I'd rather have you sound great and we can get choppy pictures as long as we can hear you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I am here, ladies and gentlemen. I am happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, Pat Jankiewicz is in the house.
Thank you. That's correctly. Thank you.
So, Pat, real quick, we're going around. I'm just asking everybody real quick what they're going to do for Halloween this week. So, what are you doing for Halloween this week?
I'm just sitting home. The whole lockdown.
We're losing you, Pat. We're losing you.
I've got 3 Halloweens, very cool Halloween parties. I'm very and again, while my friends, I was, there's from way back.
Hey,
pictures. I've been trying to do a perfect costume. What do you guys?
Hey, Pat, I think we're still losing you.
No.
Is your phone
If I win, you can cut me. I will give myself to the
Hey, are you on? Tell you what, we're gonna give you just a little break, and Luke's gonna call you real quick. And Luke, can you find out if he's on Wi-Fi or cellular? All right, cool. Sorry about that, guys. I don't want to lose him. But real quick, I just wanted to show you guys something kind of cool. Hey, guys, we're gonna get Pat on. I promise. We're gonna get that fixed. So this weekend, I was a crazy man, and I went down to a pumpkin patch. I'm watching Pat right here, and it looks like he's moving fine almost. Anyways, I went down to a pumpkin patch, and I spent $165 on pumpkins. It's
Just pumpkins?
Let me see if I can tilt this camera. Look at this. This thing is so big, I could barely get it over here. But
Can you fit inside it if you hollow it out?
I got to show you something. The most beautiful pumpkin that I've ever seen, I brought it home. And within a day, the bottom was rotten. I had to cut the whole bottom off of it. Look at this thing. So
that happened to us this year too.
But that's fine. You can just put the candle through the bottom.
I'm gonna carve this half of the pumpkin, except for see that little hole?
Yeah.
The stupid squirrels on the back porch are eating it.
I thought those squirrels were your best friends, Jim.
But yeah, Jim, just put like a candle underneath it and put it on top of it. It'll work fine.
Oh, look, the squirrels are eating all around it. Oh, those darn squirrels.
That's how you know it's a good pumpkin.
All right, we're going to try to get Pat back on.
From home, so I'm on cellular. If it's too choppy, I don't want to bring down the team. So, you know what I mean? I mean, go with my blessing. If you
Pat, right there. That's perfect.
I'm the most visually interesting person on earth. But I don't want to bring it down.
Pat, you're perfect. Right where you're at.
Oh, it looks like it's working now.
Where are you, Pat?
I'm perfect. See, I've longed to hear a girl say that, but a guy will do too in a pinch.
Yeah.
Hey, where are you at, Pat?
Okay, we'll hang up.
Okay.
Oh, frozen. Frozen.
You lost that magic touch.
Luke, you should have hung up.
So, we're having some difficulties here, guys. If you are watching, I apologize, but we are going to continue. Okay, Jonathan, the party's at my place. DM me. I'll give you the address. If you're in town, Jonathan, I would love for you to come to the party. It's on Saturday night. We're going to try one more time, guys. Last time. Fingers are crossed. Hey, Pat. And I wonder, Luke, if this would make a better, like if we could just.
So if this works, I might be the weak link guy. Yeah, we'll go.
Hey, Pat, so where are you at? I see a bunch of costumes behind you.
I was going to say, I keep seeing all these costumes.
I'm in Alex in Wonderland Effects. They've done effects for shows like Workaholics. They've done folks, and since I was already measured for something,
I wonder if we could call him on the phone and put your phone up to the microphone. That might be a better solution.
Yeah, that might sound better.
Yeah, once you call him on the phone, we'll get a sound on the phone, and he can not have to worry about that beautiful picture we see there. All right, guys. So we're almost ready to get him on there. But one thing I did want to share with us. Okay. Here goes the phone.
So I got you. I got you on.
If it's not compelling StreamYard, I can't hang up.
Well, I'm gonna mute you on the computer.
Okay.
Yep.
And then your voice is gonna come through the microphone here.
Because I'm watching I'm watching 5 unhappy people when my voice goes following.
It sounds really. Hey, Luke, can you hold it up to the mic?
I feel like, well,
Okay,
like,
I think we're picking up the laptop sound on your end.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hang up this laptop then, okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna
Cool.
get rid of the picture and it'll just be a floating voice.
Okay.
Okay,
I think that's
All right.
okay.
hold on.
Yeah.
Yep.
The background was cool, but it's
Yeah.
messing with the sound, and we got to hear his voice.
Oh. Okay, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. Hey, Luke.
Can you hear them on my phone?
I sure can.
Okay.
Pat, thank you so much. I'm sorry for all the difficulties we just had there, but we are so glad to have you on the show tonight. Could you real quick give all of our listeners a little bit of a short bio of a little bit about you? You're a journalist, you're an actor, you're in a special effects house right now. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name is Pat Jankiewicz, obviously, but I write for Fangoria, I write for Star Wars Insider, I write for Infinity, I write for Darkside. I do a lot of commercials. I'm 6'9", and because I'm also very tall and I can move in a really weird way, I do a lot of creatures. I have a $2 Predator knockoff called the Prey of Carnoctus. I'm Carnoctus. If you were going to do Predator for like $5, and you would have Danny Trejo being chased around by a four-legged me, I have this really weird superpower where I can run as fast as a dog on all fours, which are amazing videos. And when they found out about it, they had a two-legged monster in a cave, and then they made him four-legged so it could run like a dog for the duration of this 90-minute epic coming to cable in February.
That's amazing. You still got to send us a video of that. I still got to see this.
You can punch it up. It's in a bunch of. You can punch up a Solution AD video. You can punch up my Incubus video, and I think one of the commercials for the Prey of Carnoctus, you'll see him throw dynamite. I think you'll see a quick shot of me running on all fours. It's weird because I've been turned down when they need a bunch of monsters running on all fours. They go CG. They don't have anyone else who can do it, which is a little weird,
Yeah.
So, Pat, I have a question for you. We're looking right now. Let me see if it will pop. You wrote the retrospective celebrating Halloween 2, I guess about 10 years ago, maybe, or I don't know how many years ago you wrote this. Can you tell us a little bit about this magazine article you wrote for Fangoria about celebrating Halloween 2, who you got to interview and what you learned?
Oh, sure. Well, the cool thing about it, Halloween 2 has always had kind of a connection with my family. When I was a kid, after we moved to California, my mom was a nurse at Huntington Memorial. And I found out that they did a bunch of shots of Halloween 2 at Huntington Memorial. And so my mom's hospital was actually used in the movie in Pasadena. And it's weird because my cousin Todd is in town, so I took him by a bunch of Pasadena Halloween 2 locations today.
Yeah.
He's not the horror guy. He was more excited when I took him by Lorraine's house from Back to the Future and the Brad house from Old School, which are only like 3 blocks away from all the Halloween locations. So when I did the article, for Fangoria, I love to do retrospectives, but I like to do it on movies I like. If it's stuff that personally interested me. So I've done retrospectives on weird. I like 80s cult movies because I think the stories are better. So I've done stuff like Humanoids in the Deep, Return of the Living Dead, stuff like that. For Halloween 2, I was at a SAG meeting, and it turned out the guy I was next to, because I recognized him during the meeting. It was Cliff Amick. He was the security guard in Halloween 2 who was killed with the claw hammer.
Oh man, that was the sound of the hammer and the skull. Ka-ting!
Yeah, exactly. So he was telling me crazy stories. And I just thought, oh my God, there's more to Halloween 2 than I planned on. I mean, I spent a day with Dean Cundy. I went to Dean Cundy's house. Dean Cundy wasn't really happy about Halloween. Oh, I think he tells this in the article, but he wasn't really happy about Halloween 2. Steven Spielberg called him up on a Saturday morning. And Steven Spielberg said, Dean, can you meet me for breakfast? So Dean Cundy went, who shot Halloween. He went and he had breakfast with Steven Spielberg. And he said, Dean, I'm going to do a horror movie. And I really liked that horror movie you did with the girl in the house. And so he's getting more and more excited. And he goes, I'd like you to shoot this ghost movie I'm going to do. And it turned out it was Poltergeist.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
But this is where it gets horrifying for Dean Cundy and why he hates Halloween 2. So he calls up his agent. And he goes to his agent, guess what? Steven Spielberg called me. I met with Steven Spielberg for a movie. And he said his agent is kind of quiet. And then he goes, that's nice. And he goes, no. He goes, Steven Spielberg wants me to shoot this movie. And he goes, oh, that's great. And you can tell he's completely unenthused. And Dean Cundy is thinking, what the hell? He didn't realize that the agents made a deal where they sold Dean Cundy off as one of the parts of when Dino De Laurentiis was producing Halloween 2, he wanted a complete package. John Carpenter had to write it, and certain things had to happen. And what they did is they turned Dean Cundy into one of the properties that De Laurentiis had to have if he was making Halloween. So he had to call Steven Spielberg and tell him he couldn't do Poltergeist.
That's awful.
He was disappointed, but he got another shot because he came back and he shot the Back to the Future movies.
Yep.
And of course, Dean Cundy shot Jurassic Park.
I think Dean Cundy did okay.
Yeah, he landed on his feet somehow. And if you look at Dean Cundy is one of those guys where if you look at his low budget work, and thank God for Amazon, because you can look at anything on Amazon. If you want to see, he did that really cool, funky Blue Night. Horror movies all through the 80s would try to do the Dean Cundy Cobalt Blue Night that you see in the 2 Halloween movies.
Yeah.
And you see Dean Cundy kind of invented that in a 70s Bigfoot movie called The Creature from Black Lake. And
Yeah.
One of the great Michael Myers shots. There's a great surprise Michael Myers type shot he does with Bigfoot. You can see he repeats it at the end of Halloween. And Cundy did not get along with Rick Rosenthal. And Rick Rosenthal, the director of Halloween 2, told me a lot of people in my article complained about Rick Rosenthal. A lot of the crew were bumping heads with him. Now, Ricky is an incredibly great guy. He's very gracious. He's married to Donald Pleasance's nurse sidekick from the original Halloween. And they brought her back for a couple of the sequels. He admitted to me that he was a little too much of a young Turk on Halloween 2. And he was openly telling Dean Cundy no when Dean Cundy was brought on to specifically recreate the look of Halloween. Dean Cundy told me the easiest thing with Halloween was you would put Nick Castle, or in the sequel, Dick Warlock plays. By the way, Dick Warlock was also Hooper in the shark cage scenes in the original Jaws.
Wait.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Michael. And a lot of people, Dean Cundy had a problem with Dick Warlock. He goes, Nick Castle was a dancer. And he goes, and Nick Castle's dad was a famous dancer. So Nick Castle would glide. And he said he got used to doing all the gliding shots because Nick Castle, being from a dance family, he'd glide. He basically says, when you see Michael Myers in the original, you guys, he glides into the shot.
Yeah.
And Dick Warlock's a stunt man, and he's told to walk like a monster, so he walks like a monster. And one of the things with Halloween, he goes, the great thing about the original Halloween, and you especially see this in the house at the ending when Laurie falls down the stairs, he goes, you would park Michael Myers somewhere in the room, then you would bounce the light off him. He's standing in place in that scene where Laurie falls down the stairs when he appears directly behind her. He said, Nick Castle's not moving at all. I just bounce the light off to show the mask. He changes the light, he bounces a little light off him, and the audience jumped out of their skull because it looks like Michael Myers has just appeared behind her. He was there for the entire shot. And Rick Rosenthal was sort of recalcitrant about, he felt bad because there were several shots he told Dean Cundy not to do. And Dean Cundy's like, I can be shooting Poltergeist. I'm trying to do for you what I did for Carpenter on the original, which is exactly what you want. So that's why the original, I mean, there's a lot to like in Halloween 2. And I think Rosenthal has a lot of fun character bits. I love Tawny Moyer. I love when Tawny, the nurse, gets in the back and her shoes drop off.
Yeah.
You remember the scene where the nurse is lifted up in the air? And her,
yeah, we're looking at a picture of it right now when Michael Myers walks up behind her, puts a scalpel in her back, and lifts her off the ground, and her shoes drop off. Yeah.
That's one strong scalpel.
Tawny Moyer, and Tawny told me, and it's in the Fango piece, I think, Tawny said the big secret of any Halloween movie, especially the first two, she goes, you're not scared at all. She goes, she said, the happiest thing about Halloween 2, you're supposed to look terrified. She goes, I'm staring at Dean Cundy's kind, bearded, smiling face. She goes, when they're doing the first-person camera coming for you, it's just this really charming director of photography and his crew, Ray Stella, camera operator. And she goes, you're so relaxed, you're totally not scared, you're having a good time. Of the victims of Halloween 2, Pamela Susan Shoup got a sore neck. She said the jacuzzi she's drowned in was ice cold water. She got a major ear infection, and they did so many takes on it that she actually hurt her neck. She hurt a big walk. She kind of hurt her neck.
Well, let me interject real quick. For those who don't,
and all that.
yeah, for those who don't know, she was slammed down into the water over and over again in scalding hot water. Yeah.
Right. But she told me the water was ice cold.
Yeah.
You know, she said it's a fog machine, and she said she got an ear infection.
Ah.
And one thing Rick Rosenthal loved, I mean, he said this when I interviewed him in New Beverly and when I interviewed him in his office. He said Pamela Susan Shoup, who was the nurse who keeps running away to. Here's a great fact about Halloween 2. I don't think Anne Marie Martin gets any credit in the movie. When Nurse Karen, I think it's Tawny. I mean, I think Pamela Shoup is Nurse Karen, right? The redhead.
There's a redhead?
Yeah, the redheaded nurse who gets drowned in the jacuzzi.
Oh yeah. Shoot.
Really? They didn't put her in the credits?
No. Pamela Susan Shoup is in there. She's the one drowned. The girl dropping her off, I don't think Anne Marie Martin gets a credit.
Okay.
That's right.
I don't think she has a credit. She might be accredited in this. She drops her off at the hospital. That woman, Anne Marie Martin, went on to, she appeared on Sledgehammer, and she has like 3 different names. I did the commentary with the writer and director on Prom Night. She is Eddie Benton in Prom Night. She changed her name when she was a Canadian, beautiful Canadian actress. She changed her name from Eddie Benton to, I think, Anne Martin or Anne Marie Martin. And when she came to LA, she changed her name to Anne Marie when she came over here. She wound up dating the director of one of her movies. She was in a movie called Runaway. She wound up marrying the director, who happened to be a guy named Michael Crane. Jurassic novel is dedicated to her and their daughter.
That's really. I read that in your article. That's very cool.
Isn't it interesting? Because she and Jamie Lee Curtis became good friends when they did Prom Night together. And something I couldn't believe, and I kept talking to Eddie Benton / Anne Marie / all the names she had. When you look at Prom Night, especially the big money shot where Jamie Lee Curtis goes to the prom, they dress Jamie Lee Curtis horribly. She's dressed like a farmhand. When Eddie Benton is in this red dress and blonde hair, they don't put Jamie Lee. Jamie Lee, I think, is on the cover, reflected on the axe, on the cover of the DVD and the video box.
Right.
I want to say in the original theatrical poster for Prom Night was Eddie Benton's screaming face. She was so hot, she stole Prom Night from the preeminent scream queen of the 80s,
Hey, Pat, I got to ask you a question. So we have a couple of folks on the show tonight Well, first of all, I want to say hello. We got a couple of people watching. I want to say hello to Nathan and hello to Amanda Yallen. So good to see you guys. Pat Jankiewicz is on the phone with us. He wrote the retrospective of Halloween 2 for Fangoria magazine. He's talking us through the 40th anniversary of Halloween 2 is this Saturday night. Myself and Luke, we're actually throwing a party in its honor. We're throwing an 80s Halloween party. You're all invited. Pat, we would love to see you if you wanted to join us. But
I'd be honored to PM me the salient details, boys and girls, and I'll be there.
All right, we're going to send you the details. Also, I wanted to tell you, there's a couple people here, hosts, who actually, believe it or not, have not seen the movie Halloween. I would love for you.
No, Halloween 2.
I'm sorry, Halloween 2.
I think we've all seen Halloween. You've assured that, Jim.
Yes, yeah, I make sure they always see.
Third Halloween 2 in 40 years.
But no,
Halloween Kills is a Halloween.
Halloween
2, and of course the real Halloween 2.
Yeah, no, this is the Halloween 2 from 40 years ago. Could you pitch to them or pitch to all of us, why is it that Halloween 2 as a sequel has lasted and resonated here 40 years later? Why is it one of the most popular horror sequels of all time?
Why it's famous, I think, is one of the reasons a lot of purists like me don't like it. You know, there's one thing I don't like.
Wait, you don't stop. You don't like Halloween 2?
You know, I'm going to blast it here, but I'm going to say it right on now. I'm one of the people who hates the fact that Laurie is related to Michael Myers, which they came up with from Halloween 2.
Oh.
There's the residual effects of John Carpenter's fellow USC grad, George Lucas. Remember, what happened in 1980? The biggest thing that happened in movies in 1980 was The Empire Strikes Back. Right. And then they did a duality thing where they made Darth Vader Luke Skywalker's father. And then, you know, again, it's an amazing epic. People are still ripping that kind of shock off. When you watch the original Star Wars, uncut, purest, original theatrical Star Wars, Luke Skywalker's father is a famous pilot, and everyone keeps congratulating him on what a great guy his father is. And over the years, they've gaslighted the entire Star Wars crowd into believing that was always going to be the thing, that Luke was always meant to be the son of Darth Vader. So John Carpenter is pretty blunt about this, and I was at Deborah Hill's funeral. I was at a memorial service. I covered a memorial.
What year was it?
When she passed, you'll have to look
2005.
I think it's 2005.
Yeah, 2005. Okay. It's in your magazine article.
You know, and Carpenter was not something, but everyone was talking about Deborah and all the things with Deborah. Deborah wrote all the teenage girl stuff, and John Carpenter wrote all the you know, Evil Never Sleeps kind of stuff. And people at her memorial were laughing how names like Ben Tramer were guys she had crushes on in high school. You know, and what was interesting is John Carpenter's pretty blunt about why Laurie is related to Michael Myers. He claimed he drank 2 6-packs of beer the night he came up with the idea for that. You know, and I personally think he was piggybacking on Halloween 2. But if Laurie is the killer's sister, which was introduced in the sequel to kind of make it different, and then give them credit for trying to do a different movie, that means she got all her friends murdered, and that destroys the first film for me, to be honest with you.
But not
well, in some ways, I think she got her friends murdered by she came to the front door of Michael, which I think got him interested in her. If that didn't exist, because it seemed like she was the first one that Michael was kind of stalking, and then she happened to be with her. So I think regardless, she kind of caused all of her friends' deaths.
Right. And the good news is, you guys, I'm sure you've been to the Hollywood location on Orange Grove. But
yes.
Have you been to the Pasadena locations for Halloween?
Yes. I was just there a couple days ago, actually.
Good man. I mean,
yeah.
They moved. There's no excuse. The main house is down next to the Gum Mint or whatever that thing is called, Mint Gallery, whatever.
Sugar Mint Gallery.
Sugar Mint, thank you, good man. The hedge is still there. The hedge Michael's hiding behind is still there too.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, it's in the Pasadena area. It's a few streets down from the Laurie Strode house. There's few scattered different locations, which
Please. All of you can jump in. Don't let me be a big mouth. Talk.
No, I just want to let our no. You're awesome. I just want to let all our
say
listeners
something,
know-
Jim.
I just want to let everybody
Say
know
something.
that if you go to theconguy.com or thescareguy.com or any of our social medias, we have a tour of all the locations from the original Halloween film that Michael Myers himself, aka Luke Cheeseman, did walking around all the locations. So you can go check those out. So anyway, I just want to throw that in. We're losing them, Luke.
Yeah.
Not all the locations, but a good bit of the main ones, just so you know.
But if you guys are near Cal Poly Pomona, find the payphone next to the train is where Michael kills the guy and leaves the truck in the bushes.
Oh, okay.
Like Cal Poly Pomona. My brother went there, and I discovered it at his graduation. I literally took a wrong turn and found where the double Custis' tone was.
Hey, Pat. Let me throw it out to Derek.
Anybody say something, you're making me nervous.
I'm throwing out to Derek, Katie, and Danae to see if they have any questions for you. Do you guys have any questions for Pat about Halloween 2?
Well, I was going to ask because I know Halloween 2018, right? 2018 is what they're calling it. The one that
remake?
came out. Yeah. Was that canceled out the second wave, right?
Luke, we can't hear him. Hey, Luke?
Yeah, it sure does. They just pretended it didn't exist. The Rob Zombie Halloween 2 doubles down. The Rob Zombie Halloween 2 doubles down on Laurie and Michael being related. Halloween 2, and what's amazing is you've all seen the movie. You've all seen the science tape they used to show, where you see like a dead mouse and you see the whole body breaking down. Looking at the AMC Halloween Marathon, it is so amazing to go from the brilliant original. By the time Coolio shows up, the franchise is so dead, you know?
Yeah.
But yes, Halloween kills. The 2018 Halloween 40, cancels out all of the Halloween sequels.
Hey, since we're talking about that right now, and we will return a little bit to Halloween 4,
which is weird, but it happened. You know.
Hey, Pat, talk to us about what.
It's one of those.
Luke. Hey, just ask what he thinks of the Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills.
Luke, we lost you.
Oh, what?
Yeah, his voice cut out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what do you think of the last two films, the Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills?
Oh yeah, great questions, you guys. And one of my favorite in the Halloween 2018, and what I'm really respected for, is the 40th anniversary of the character. And you know, even the later Alien movies are wheezing. You know what I mean? I mean, everybody knows the jump and all that. There's a scene. What I love about Halloween 2018, there's a scene where a character knows Michael Myers is in a closet, and they know Michael Myers is in the closet. The camera knows Michael Myers is in the closet, and then he walks out of the closet, and you jump out of your seat. It's just, to me, that's a masterclass on how to bring a franchise back. Halloween was killed by all these cheapy shot in Utah sequels. You know, every one of them was worse than the last. Yeah. You know, they're inventing the Gaelic cult, and they do. You know, we need a Halloween bloodline, blah blah blah. You know, the one where Donald Pleasance died in real life, and then they added him screaming at the end of the credits to show he died.
That was weird.
I think so.
Halloween was so ill-served for decades. I mean, just rotten, terrible sequels. that when they did, when David Gordon Green and Danny, what's his name, did
Danny
Halloween
McBride.
2018, yeah, gosh, they told everyone this is why the character works, this is why it's good, and it's really eerie and it's really creepy, and it's just once you hear I mean, there's one of the sequels where they're playing John Carpenter's closing credits, and he's covered by jars of clay. Do you remember that horrible '90s band?
Yeah, I remember Jars of Clay.
I remember that awesome
They
90s
play a
band.
Jars of Clay song, and it's incredibly offensive, you know. And there were all these sequels where his mask didn't look right, nothing looked right. They
Yeah.
were bending and twisting to make Michael Myers interesting again, and it just didn't. Jason Blum is a really, really, really smart guy. He's a really cool guy. And you can tell the reason his franchises work is everything's strong. I mean, you see him like Freaky or Happy Death Day. I mean, he just knows, you know, you look at the Conjuring movies, he has a really great sense of what the audience wants. His movies are entertaining and they're scary.
Yeah.
When he did Halloween, he took off the training wheels, they had got it back. The witch.
Okay.
Oh
Now we lost
no!
Luke.
Yeah.
Luke, we lost you. Okay, guys, we're gonna continue to talk here.
I mean, I was enjoying hearing these stories. It's a shame the tech devils are against us tonight.
I know it's like the Devil's Night. You know, like in Detroit, the night before Halloween is called the Devil's Night. It's where all the
This is what we get for worshiping the devil on his Satan holiday.
I know. So I'm gonna. Okay, so you need. This is kind of hard to do this podcast when this is the one piece of tech that should be working.
You know what, Jim? It's all right. I mean, I think we did get a lot of interesting facts and trivia from Pat, and we've had him on before, and he's really fun to talk to. He's got some cool stories, and he's got cool stories about the movies he's made too. Like I remember about him before talking about how he can run really fast on all fours.
I remember
That's
that.
so crazy and awesome. Yeah.
Don't understand.
So
and I like.
Sorry, Derek. Go ahead.
You go
No,
ahead.
I feel like I haven't seen the movies he's talking about that he's been in, but I feel like that alone would freak me out, whether he's got any makeup or costume going on or not. You know?
I feel like, Jim, that like you could just call Pat and record the conversation and then post it. Like it'll be like 4 hours long and do like a 4-part podcast, and it would still be awesome. Like I feel like I would still
Pat
listen
is
to it.
awesome. If he comes to the party on Saturday night, we're going to sit with him for a little bit and have a little. But I don't know if you remember last time Pat's podcast with us was like 2 episodes because Pat's a great guy, but his internet or phone connection just never seems to work. And
Well, he has so many stories. It's hard to condense it to one.
Why is he sitting in the middle of a special effects house right now? I want to know what he's doing. But what I do want to know is this, because I'm going to put up a video real quick because Luke and we were fortunate enough to actually talk to a couple of people about Halloween 2 and on this show. And one of those people is Sean Clark. Sean Clark is known as we call him Mr. Halloween because he does this show called Horror's Hallowed Grounds. And he was able to actually go onto the set, the locations where they were filming Halloween. So I'm going to show you this video and hopefully we'll have our tech problems work back out. Watch this, guys. Hey, Sean, tell us about was this a worthy successor? And tell us why you kind of enjoyed watching this movie. You claim maybe even more so than the original.
Well, I mean, I think the second movie, I don't know, the first movie is a better film. There's no doubt about that. The first movie is a better film, but it's it has a lot of mood. The first film has a lot of atmosphere and mood, and it's a slow burn in a way, you know, at times. But the second one, I just loved how it just picked up right where the first one ended. Yeah. And it just kind of jumped right into action. And I think that's one of the things I really appreciated about it. Plus the fact that, and I think I mentioned this before, that my experience with watching that movie for the first time was so amazing. And my Aunt Robin took me to a walk-in theater, and it was a double feature with the Funhouse and Halloween 2. And I didn't know anything about the Funhouse. That played first. Fell in love with that movie. It's one of my favorites to this day. And then, so I'm seeing the Funhouse, and it goes right into Halloween 2. I was like, man, this night is like the perfect night. And it was a packed house. People were into it, screaming, yelling. It was a blast. And then I went back like a week later and saw it again on a double feature with An American Werewolf in London, which was the first time I saw that. And it was like, man, you can't beat that year. How epic was that year just for film? I mean, it's just like, I kept seeing all these amazing movies. So I don't know. I just have this fond, when I see Halloween 2, it kind of takes me back to that feeling of when I saw it in the theater those nights and how just epic that was. I mean, my feelings of Halloween, I think back to watching it through the back window of my parents' car, terrified, a totally different feeling. It was being a terrified little kid to being a super stoked, little kid. I mean, it was two different vibes,
Mm-hmm. Well,
We lost Derek.
We did.
Oh, wait, go back and make this all real thin again, Jim. That was cool.
like this.
Yeah.
I have to move my chair because
Oh, let's do this.
Oh, but then you see all my floors.
I don't like this setup. Look, I have no body. Yeah, like no. Sorry, Danae,
Okay,
but
I guess
no.
this way you can see my chair. Let me just show
So
it
that
off.
was Sean Clark. What's really cool, later on in that interview when we were talking with Sean, he was on the set of. There is a part of the movie. I've got a picture of it right here. There's Luke. Hey, Luke. There's a part of Halloween 2. I've got it right here. Let me show you. Mrs. L. Luke's gone. Mrs. Elrond.
What
Right
night?
here. I know. So there's a part at the beginning of Halloween 2 where Michael Myers is walking down an alleyway, and Mrs. Elrond, she's the elderly lady across the street, and she's in there. And see how she's got some meat on a cutting board right there?
She's making hamburgers.
She's making bologna sandwiches, actually. I don't know why that's bread and bologna. Well, Michael Myers sneaks in while she's making these sandwiches and grabs her knife. So what's cool?
Wait, why do you need a knife if you're making bologna sandwiches?
Okay, well,
We're going to call this Pass the Pat.
okay. So anyways, Sean was able to actually get that cutting board, and he now has it. And he had a lot of the cast members of Halloween 2 actually sign that.
Oh,
Hey,
that's
guys,
cool.
guess
I'm
who I've
sorry
got
I
with me
interrupted
right
for
now?
that tidbit.
Pat, you here?
I sure am, sir.
Can you guys hear Pat?
Yeah.
All right. So, Pat, we're going to just kind of wrap up our discussion here. We are sorry for all the technical difficulties that's been thrown at us tonight. But
It was an honor to be here. Thank you for having me, gang.
well, if you could just kind of wrap up your thoughts on Halloween 2 and how it stacks up against, because you were talking to us about Halloween Kills and the original Halloween. I mean, not the original, but how does it stack? Because, Halloween Kills and Halloween 2 kind of are somewhat similar movies a little bit. They both.
They are.
Yeah.
They're both for sure movies. Basically, every slasher movie is Tom and Jerry. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So and every horror movie like this, every slasher movie is basically the three little pigs. And the third pig is the inventive one who manages to escape. So my argument is Halloween 2 is a great underrated movie. Beautiful, beautiful Dean Cundy cinematography. Amazing music by John Carpenter and Alan Howarth. Alan Howarth also did the music for the Bigfoot movie I did, The Hoax.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Cool.
So it's a great. I think there's a safety in 21st century horror. You don't get 80s horror. The 80s horror is transgressive. You get nudity. You get gore. It's a great sequel. It's ambitious. It's fun. It's weird. It's dark. And I mean, having him attacking a place and his cameras all over, that's really cool. So thank you very much for having me, and have a great Halloween, you guys.
All right. Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Pat. I know it's been a challenge with the technology, but you are the best. You're such a good guy. and I can't wait to read more of your stuff. And I sure hope you come to the party on Saturday night, my friend.
I've got one in Burbank. Are you guys? If you're near Burbank, I can put in an appearance. Thank you.
We're 5 minutes from Burbank. We're going to see you.
Attaboy, it'll happen. All right, be well. Happy Halloween, gang.
All right, see you,
Happy
Pat.
Halloween.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, so we are going to finish down here. Are you going to finish with me down here? And what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of wrap up. We have a couple of just, and for those of you who are listening, maybe we'll edit that a little bit and make that a little bit. But Pat Jankiewicz is just such a nice guy, all around good guy. But he is like he is in the film industry. He's in a bunch of films and he writes about it. He's a film journalist and he just knows everybody. And so I just wanted to get him on tonight to talk about Halloween 2, which is celebrating his 40th anniversary. I did not know that he didn't like the film. Oh my gosh, we've been talking about Halloween 2 with him for like a year now. And all of a sudden tonight on the show, I don't like that film. Come on, Pat, what's up with that? But he just doesn't like the sister aspect. Whereas I am one of the people who love the fact that Michael Myers' sister is Jamie Lee Curtis. And Laurie Strode. And then it's completed in H2O. Have you guys seen H2O 20 years later?
We haven't seen the second one. Why would we have seen the follow-ups, Jim?
Well, because they don't really all
but why would we watch them like H2O and then go back and watch Halloween 2 and then like no.
But
I'm sorry. Okay, I know you're gonna hate me for this, Jim, but I fell asleep the first time I watched the first Halloween movie. So
Blasphemy.
Okay, can I just make a note? I was hungover the first time we watched the first Halloween movie because it was the day after a Jim and Luke Halloween party. I remember it, but I also remember having a headache.
I fell asleep during it the first time, and I fell asleep during Texas Chainsaw Massacre the first time. Both of the movies, to me, I haven't had a desire to watch the sequels because the first one just didn't do it for me. And I know that's weird, but yeah.
Yeah, Jim, what TF? Jonathan, don't take their side. No, just kidding. Hey, listen, though, let me, just as we close out the show, I do want to share a couple of cool photos. About a few years back, we went to the Halloween 40th anniversary convention that was here in Pasadena, and they had some cool Halloween 2 panels. And here's some pictures from the Halloween 2 panel. This is the cast of Halloween 2, as much as they could gather up on stage. And this is the nurse from the original Halloween. To the left, that is, I'm not, Dean, is that Warlock right there? And then Dean Cundy. And then here is Luke with Jeffrey Kramer. Jeffrey Kramer was the coroner who investigated the burnt up dead body in Halloween 2. If Luke was on, I would wait. Luke's on. Excuse me.
Is it working? Am I back?
Yeah, sounds good. Luke had to reboot his computer. So hey, Luke, talk to us about this picture here.
Well, we're at the Halloween 40th anniversary event, and Jeffrey Kramer was there, who was Hendrix in Jaws. He was also in the movie Clue, Jaws 2, and Halloween 2. So I got to meet him there. Very nice guy. And we did an interview with him when we did our Jaws anniversary podcast, where we did like 10 different podcasts on the movie Jaws. So he was awesome and a great guy to meet in person.
Well, here, let's hear a little bit of that interview right here. There's another film that you were in that you were known to keel over looking at a dead charred up body. Halloween 2. So how is it that you became known as the guy who is looking at dead bodies in these films?
Truly by chance. My friend Rick Rosenthal directed it, and he said, "Will you come in? It's a scene with Donald Pleasance, who I had great respect for. I'm actually not a fan of scary movies. I'm not, yeah." But it was fun, and it was a dummy, and I'm scratching the teeth, and that was fun. And it didn't work for it long. It was a day or two, not much. And I love Deborah Hill, who produced it. She's long gone from this world, but she was a fabulous human being and great woman.
That was cool. And Jeffrey Kramer also, he's known for those of us who love the X-Files. He was the executive who approved the X-Files, and he's the one in charge of getting it on the air back on Fox back in the 90s. So he's a really cool guy. And Luke, just a couple more questions. Hey, Luke, do you remember the two gentlemen standing here? Who's this?
That's who we were talking about earlier. That's the cinematographer of the original Halloween.
So that's Dean Cundy. That's the cinematographer of Halloween, Halloween 2, the Back to the Future trilogy, Jurassic Park, and so many more films. That's kind of cool. But look at this. Here's a cool shot. What's this?
That's Michael Myers himself.
Yeah, that is the original Michael Myers. But what's cool is what Pat was telling us is, he didn't play Michael Myers in the second movie because Nick Castle had a way of walking that was very graceful, and Danae is just enjoying herself.
That's a big bottle.
Oh no, we're losing Jim.
Yeah. Back to that first photo too, as well. That was actually, I think, the director of Halloween 2 as well. So that was Dean and
no, Rosenthal. Mike Rosenthal was the director of Halloween 2.
Yeah, well, the one before that. You showed
wait.
one before that.
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry. Right here. Right. There's Rosenthal.
Yeah. So I think that's the three of them talking with the nurse character.
And let me share this right here. David Burke is a friend of the show. He has some cool online message boards on Facebook and other places about Halloween, but he is the guy that kind of has an art series called the Sister Trilogy. And so I asked him, I said, what are your favorite movies? And this is how he ranks them. The best Halloween movies. Number 1, 1978 Halloween. And then Halloween 2 from 81 is his second favorite. And then H2O 1998 is his third. And then it's Halloween 4. I agree. Halloween 3. Maybe. And then he puts Halloween Kills. He puts Halloween Kills above the 2018 Halloween, which surprises me. And then Halloween 5. Okay. Halloween Resurrection. Ugh. And then he goes down to Halloween
Curse of Michael Myers.
Curse of Michael Myers, which was awful. Halloween 6, which was awful. And you can barely see him at the bottom of the list. The Rob Zombie, Halloween 1 and 2.
Wow, they're in dark red where you can barely see him.
Yeah, he doesn't even hardly.
Until we started prepping for this podcast, I had no idea there were this many Halloween movies. Like, I knew there were a few.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was this many.
So many. Like, this is such an enduring.
This many, or something like that.
This is such an
money.
This many.
It really
money.
is an
Well, and
enduring
also,
franchise.
when we were talking about if I haven't seen the other movies, it's also because of their availability. It is hard to find them. They're not on most of the streaming services or any of them. The only ones that they're on is for rent on Amazon is all I could find it on. And unless you have cable, because I don't have AMC. So if you don't have it readily available for people, it is a lot harder for us to watch them too.
Yeah.
And I feel
they're
like
so scattered. Yeah.
And I feel like
there's all these weird apps or things like available on Strudel, a new streaming service. They're these weird random stuff.
I would sign up for Strudel.
Yeah,
I just made that up.
Amazing.
It's an ongoing problem a lot with horror. Is a lot of these horror genres, a lot of these horror movies are really hard to find on streaming. And I don't really like that. I don't like that we don't have a lot of the classics. HBO Max has some, they have the entire Nightmare on Elm Street trilogy right now. I mean, trilogy series. But I was looking, I have an app where you can look it up, where to watch something. And I was like, okay, I could rent it on Amazon, but I don't want to spend extra money to do that. So
no, I agree with you, Katie. I like Shudder. I subscribe to Shudder, the horror network, and they have the original Halloween. But you couldn't find Halloween 2. So me and Luke we had to watch it yesterday to get ready for the show. We had to go rent it from Amazon.
They're on AMC, which I don't have cable, so I can't watch AMC or Amazon Prime rental. So yeah.
Well, the one thing that I wish the technical connection with Pat was a little bit better. I would have loved to discuss the thing about the Halloween movies, Halloween 1 and Halloween 2, is when they came on television. Halloween 1 came on NBC back, I think, in 1979 or 80. And they had to film a bunch of new scenes to make it fit because, it was a rated R movie. So they had to cut stuff out, put stuff in. And the stuff they put in the scene of Laurie having a flashback to her brother as Michael Myers in the original film, which was kind of interesting. And then Halloween 2, it got released on cable, and they had to edit out the bad stuff because Halloween 2. And I another thing I wanted to talk to Pat about, and he did mention a little bit. It came out in 81. Halloween came out in 78, and it was nearly a bloodless movie. It was all about creeping and atmosphere. But then in 1980, this other little bitty movie came out, Friday the 13th, which was a ripoff of Halloween, but Friday the 13th upped the gore quotient huge, and it was super gory. Katie, and Luke went to the 40th anniversary right before the shutdown, and we all got our pictures taken with the knife coming through our neck. That was, and it was a gory movie. I remember that the censors back then said for the next couple of films they had to tone it down because the first one was too gory for theaters. But so the producers of Halloween 2, John Carpenter, Deborah Hill, and Dino De Laurent, I can never say his last name, Laurentis, they upped the horror, the gore in Halloween in 1981 to compete. And I think that's one reason for me it makes it a lesser film, because it's just the gore parts are just like, okay, we're going to stick a needle in a doctor's eye and it oozes out. Like, really? That was kind of gross. And he was describing a scene also that it's been pretty criticized. There's a pretty exploitive scene about a nurse who is getting intimate with a guy in a hot tub, and she gets out and drops her towel, and it's just kind of like a really exploitive scene. But then she gets like scalded to death and just like her skin just peels off. It's so gross. Of course, Michael Myers' hand is holding her down, and nobody ever asked why his hand does not get scolded. So
he's not normal. He's not human.
But
Loomis.
I'm telling you, it is kind of interesting.
He's the devil.
40 years later, this film is still regarded by many as one of the best horror sequels of all time. If you get a chance, maybe I'm going to have you guys over and we will watch it. We will watch it, and we'll skip a couple of, they have, it's so weird. Like he says, horror films back in the 70s and 80s were,
they're more gratuitous.
They are gratuitous. Like,
they're more gratuitous, or at least in different ways. Like, it was a thing in the 80s. It was a trope. There was gratuitous, like, you would see boobs for no reason. They would just show boobs, or they would show, it was gratuitous because they didn't have as much CGI, as much other special effects that they do now. They banked on what they could film and do with,
And it was kind of odd. Yeah, it is kind of odd that, you think that the more society gets away. I mean, all of us here have a faith background, and it seems like we used to be more conservative, and the further we go along, things get a little bit more permissive. But with films, it seems the opposite is true, where they're more concerned about how they treat people, and they're more concerned. And I think it's for the better.
Back then, they were just trying to draw teenage boys in, so that's
all it was.
Like, you have to remember too, though, the beginning of a franchise is always going to be more heavy-handed with that. Just like the beginning of an HBO series, it's always going to be more heavy-handed because certain things sell in Hollywood, and they know that. Once they've got that audience, they're like, you know what? We don't have to do these gags anymore.
You're right.
Because people are already invested in the story, and that is something that still continues to go. I mean, it happened with Game of Thrones, so it really all just depends. But it is interesting. There, in some ways, we're in a more conservative time, and sometimes we're not. It really just depends on the movie, on the director, on everything that's going on. But there is definitely, I agree with what Pat said in the fact that there is a big difference between an 80s horror movie and a 2020 horror movie.
Yeah.
It's night and day. Like, you cannot compare the two. It's so hard because they are so different. So unless you're doing like an actual word for word or almost an exact remake where you can literally compare the same plot and same thing like that, it's going to be hard to compare the two. I mean, 80s slasher films. 80s slasher films is a genre. It's its own genre. It's
well, Katie,
films.
Like Luke and I, and Carrie Lane, who was not able to be with us, she's working tonight. But this past week, we interviewed Danishka Esterhazy, who is the director of the new sci-fi film
Slumber Party Massacre.
Slumber Party Massacre, which is a reboot or remake of the 1981 version of Slumber Party Massacre. And the thing is, 1981 Slumber Party Massacre, Roger Corman made that film. And Roger Corman was known that in the contracts, when he gave female directors chances and he supported them. But, and not to be rude, but he had a quota of how many breasts had to be included in a film. And so that first movie in 1981 was directed by a woman. And the woman felt a little bit constrained. This was her big break into filmmaking, but so she made it. And it was me and Luke were watching it. We're like, wow, there's a lot of nudity.
She thought she was making the shots boring, but she's making them more pervy.
Well, yeah, because what she tried to do,
zoom downs of like,
she tried to make like the female director tried to make him less seductive, kind of just like run of the mill, and she wanted her best to try to desexualize the shots that she was being forced to make, and we get it. But the new film, which Danishka made, and she flipped it, and the shower scene is of a dude, and you see his butt 3 times as she slowly pans up and down his bare backside, and we're like, that was odd to watch, but you think about it, it's like, well, they just flipped the script, and now we're seeing the exact opposite of what it used to be like in the 80s, and yeah, it's creepy.
Now every horror movie must have abs.
Anyways, if you guys get a chance, check out our interview with Danishka Esterhazy, the director of Sci-Fi Network's Slumber Party Massacre, which came out just last week. But let's finish up our talk on Michael Myers. Because Luke, you just added a couple of pictures that I wanted to know what those were.
Oh. Well, I just want to say something real quick about Halloween 2. I don't know if Danae and Katie, I'm sure since they haven't seen it, they don't know. But there was a special cameo in Halloween 2 that was quite amazing, which was Dana Carvey. I don't know if he got credit or not, but he's one of the reporters there, like one of the camera crew or something like that there in Halloween 2. So he had a brief cameo, no lines or anything, but Dana Carvey was officially in Halloween 2.
It's just
Was this before he was on SNL?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
Little boy Dana Carvey, little shag cut and a trucker hat.
It's his very first on-screen appearance. Isn't that crazy?
He was impersonating a reporter, since he's an impersonator.
I always thought it was David Spade. But
no, they definitely would have had him say that. Okay, so this guy's like killing people all around. What a bunch of dorks. Oh my gosh.
All right. Hey, Luke, do you have anything else to say about Halloween 2? But we're going to give we have to take 30 seconds because we did promise it when we put the show up tonight. Halloween Kills.
You and me could talk about that. I don't want to keep everybody.
Yeah,
late.
we'll let the ladies
we could
go.
do a 5 to 10 minute on that.
Yeah,
but I don't want to keep everybody because of that.
But there is one thing I do want to share with everybody, and I would love for Katie and Danae to kind of. One of the things I love about Halloween, for me, it is very nostalgic. For me, it's a very family thing, and I think I shared this picture on the podcast before.
I love it.
I am the taller guy that's dressed up like Frankenstein. That is my brother.
I thought you were the pumpkin.
That's my brother Scott next to me. And that's one of my first, that's not one of my first pumpkins. I had a pumpkin every year since I was born. My parents loved carving pumpkins. So for me, Halloween is very much a family deal. It's not, people think about like, why do you like Halloween? I'm like, I grew up with Halloween. I grew up with the fun side of Halloween. My family wasn't really big into witches and bad stuff for Halloween, but like the Charlie Brown, it's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. Oh, I got to show you something. I got to show everybody something. That's the part of Halloween that I love. And Katie and Danae, I would love to hear what Halloween was for you guys.
Yeah, what was Halloween for you? For me, it was very different.
So I grew up in a pretty rural area where trick-or-treating wasn't really a thing unless you wanted to walk a long time to get to the next house. And I mean, even as a kid, like trick-or-treating, I felt too old for it when I was like 5, not to be the Jim Halpert in the room. But it wasn't until like I really went to college and I got to go to the theater department parties, which are ragers if you know anybody ever who's done a show, that I really started to enjoy Halloween. But the cool thing about Halloween for me now is that October marks the anniversary of when I moved to Los Angeles. So really quick, I just want to say, like, I was new to Los Angeles about not quite 2 weeks when I went to my first like Jim and Luke Halloween party, and I remember like dressing up with
Jim made her bob.
It was like a welcome to the city because I was nervous, like I knew you guys, but I walked in the room and there was Katie and her roommate, Emily, who were two amazing friends, and they were just like,
Oh, I remember that night. You all were so happy.
and it just solidified, like, yeah, I'm supposed to be here. I have friends here. So for me, Halloween now is like, let's eat candy and treats and spend time with friends. And look, it marks another year that you're in this crazy place called California and doing awesome stuff. So that's what it is for me. And I'm so excited that I get to share that with all three of you here.
Katie, today, that's awesome. That is that's a great way to put it. Katie. Oh, Katie, you're on mute.
No, she's not muted. I just can't hear her.
I accidentally had my mic off. I'm sorry,
Okay.
guys. So when I was a kid, we always dressed up, me and my sister. I lived in the mountains, so there wasn't a lot of people. We could walk everywhere. If we needed to, we usually had like multiple families get in one of our Suburbans, and like we would drive together to the houses. But for the most part, you could walk everywhere, and we would always end the night in the big cafeteria because I lived in a summer camp. We would end the night at the cafeteria where people who lived in the subdivisions where we couldn't really get to, and maybe people who were there for the weekend or other people who might have been in town could all go there to their tables with candy, and you could trick or treat at that big open area for the rest of the people who you couldn't get to their houses for. And that's kind of where we would end our night. And most of the times it was like all us kids just piling in cars, and like one or two parents were like the chaperones for all of us going trick-or-treating. And I just remember getting my pillowcase, which is always what I used as a bag for candy. I didn't use anything else. It was always a pillowcase because it could hold a lot of candy, and why would I want to dump a small bucket into a big thing, So it's just,
you're like Santa Claus.
Took that. And but it was always about like creating something different. Like I didn't do licensed characters very often. Like in my house, me and my sister were always like generic things, but my dad would help us build our costumes. All my life, my dad helped us build our costumes. And that's probably where I kind of got into my costuming thing. And then as an adult, as a costume designer, it's actually more stressful for me because I feel like I have to outdo myself. I feel like I have to bring it every year. So this year I'm taking it easy, and I'm going, you know what? I am going to do just simple things, but not like all out costumes. Like
but you're doing like 5 or 6 simple
Katie,
things.
you're doing 6 costumes. That's not taking it easy.
Yeah. But I meant like I'm not building anything this year really. So like for me, Halloween for me is always the funny costumes, things people are clever, people put together, whereas cosplay is more crisp and clean and organized and pristine and like actually looks like something. But my favorite Halloween costumes were like in college when my friend had a party, someone showed up as a Scantron that they made on a piece of cardboard. So things like that. That's what's fun about Halloween, is seeing the creativity or lack thereof for people at Halloween. I am very, very judgy with costumes. Like if I know someone who has shown up as a cat for 8 years, I am going to judge them for it. So it's like that kind of thing. Like I apologize for everybody who's a cat every single year. It's just for me, I just go, I get not everybody is creative, so please don't think I'm attacking anybody. But
Nathan Taylor is the worst Halloween costume person in the world, and his wife threw away his every year costume.
Thank goodness.
You can always go to a Halloween store and grab something, even if it's last minute. So it's like, just have fun. Scour the internet. Scour Pinterest for things that you can do and make it your own. And have fun and be safe. If you guys are going out for Halloween, since Ben is not here, make sure that you guys are safe. Make sure that you're realizing that we still are in a pandemic. So please practice it safely. There's all sorts of creative ways on how to get candy to children if you do not want to have any touching or germs to go around. So anyway, that's all.
Hey, I did say this though. There is a house in our neighborhood where the way they deliver the candy, it's from their front porch. They've made like a 25-foot slide all the way down to the street. It is so cool. It is
my favorite. I think people should use a t-shirt gun. That's my vote. Just use a t-shirt gun. Or a Nerf gun. Yeah.
All right. And real quick, Luke, what about you?
Oh boy, this is about to get depressing. Everybody sit in the corner, and so I didn't really grow up celebrating Halloween too much. It was more celebrating fall. I did go trick-or-treating twice in my life. One time was I was staying with my great aunt and uncle. My parents were out of town, so I dressed up as an Indian, and my sister dressed up but I went trick-or-treating in the neighborhood. That was my only childhood trick-or-treating in the neighborhood experience. And then I was camping with another friend and didn't realize it was Halloween, that they're going to do trick-or-treating on the campsite. So I had a Browns outfit and he had a Bengals outfit. So we wore a Browns and Bengals outfit and went trick-or-treating along the cars there that day. But we watched E.T. for the first time the night before. So that was special and memorable. So those were like my two best experiences. But then my mom used to have people over and we do like pin the nose on the pumpkin, and she'd like pick stuff that we'd do. We'd still dress up, but we just wouldn't go anywhere because, like Danae, we're also in the country, so I didn't really have a neighborhood close by. But when I got older, the land developed and there's neighborhoods. So I snuck out one night. Well, not snuck out, but I went out one night in the neighborhood as a high schooler, dressed up in a Scream costume, and got candy from the neighbors around us. And there was one other time with my friend Mikael where we just dressed up, we would put masks on, and then we did high voices like we're kids and went around trick-or-treating. So I guess before I was 18, I trick-or-treated 4 times.
Why is this 4-year-old 6 feet tall?
Yeah, exactly.
Danae, what is your costume, by the way?
It's the stuff that I pulled out of my closet after I got home from work when Jim was like, yeah, we're going to dress up. And then I text you guys and nobody else is dressed up.
Oh,
so this is the vest
day.
from Steampunk Aquaman. This jacket is.
Can you wear this every show, please?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not dressed up at all. This is just what I wear
costumes
on Tuesdays. You guys just haven't seen it because we don't do the podcasts on Tuesdays usually.
Yeah, well, I like this. We need to. Like,
it's the steampunk. It's steampunk Aquaman mixed with steampunk Princess Leia, a little bit.
Sure.
Looks great.
It's what I wear on Tuesdays.
All right. So, guys, we are going to finish up the show with the ladies. But Luke and I will stay on just for a few minutes to talk about Halloween Kills. But I do want to let you know about 2 things. One, if you haven't had a chance yet, go check out our interview with Sandy Johnson, a.k.a. she's the original Judith Myers, the older sister of Michael Myers from the original movie. That was such a great interview that we did with her. She is such a lovely lady, such a nice person. And the thing that's so crazy about it is, like, she never knew she had fans until the 40th anniversary of the movie. And then somebody contacted her and they're like, you want to come? She goes, okay, I guess I'll come. Like, do I have fans? And they said, yes. She shows up. There's a line out the door of the convention center to come meet her. And she has since changed her career. And she is now full-time going on doing this. And the thing is, she's a doctor. I'm not she's a doctor of something online learning. And she's such a smart lady. So this is like her second career, she's so cool. She's so cool. And then if you haven't yet had a chance, go to our social media and check out this short film based on Halloween Kills. It has a cameo with Jamie Lee Curtis, Face the Shape, featuring our own friend Jamie Avera as Michael Myers. It's a really cool short film. It's kind of gory, but it's they filmed it on the set of Universal Studios for the big premiere night. It was for the premiere night of Halloween Kills, so it's a really cool thing. Katie and Christine. We'll start with
Christine. You mean Katie and Danae?
That's my name now.
I'm so sorry.
I'm Christine.
She's doing
Christine, where can people find you and find out what you're doing and maybe even see some cool costumes you're going to be doing this week?
Yeah, guys, I'm KT Christine, aka usually it's the final goal for Scare Guy, but I am going to be posting pictures of my work costumes all week, but you can find me on all social media at KT_Christine, including Twitch. I've been a little inactive on Twitch lately, but hopefully I'll be back at it again once spooky season is over. So you guys can find me there. I've been trying to be more active on the Tickety Talk as well. So yeah, anywhere you can, any social media, I probably have it. You can find me live tweeting lots of stuff on Twitter as well.
What's that poster in your background? Is that Supernatural? Or is
That's
that Pineapple
Supernatural.
Express?
It's the bag from Comic-Con. It's just the front of it cut off and hung on my wall.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and then next to it, those 3 pictures are the Supernatural guys as well. They're just hanging up.
Katie, you were in because you did, like, is it the 30 days of Halloween or the 60?
I stopped doing it. It just became hard. It was supposed to be 100 days. I haven't done it in like probably a month. So
100 days of Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Katie's a true fan. I love that about her. All right, Danae, what about you?
I am a writer / comedian who hangs out with these awesome people some occasionally. You can find me on Instagram at DNAYS, and you can find my books on JanaeLSams.com. And I hope everybody has an amazing Halloween. I'm not doing anything nearly as cool as you guys, except going to Luke and Jim's on Saturday.
That's
And
super cool. We'll be posting pictures from that, folks.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a live. We'll do an Instagram live from the party. It'll be a lot of fun because you know why? Last year we had a much scaled down party. You know, it was right smack in the middle of COVID, so we only had like 8 or 9 people.
It's like a Halloween speakeasy almost.
Yeah, it was. I think that's what we call the Halloween.
We don't want to go to
called
prison.
speakeasy, and we put furniture in such a way to force people to kind of like stand apart from each other.
We all stood with bags over our heads 6 feet apart.
Yes. And one thing I got to show you.
Stranger style.
Look what I got. Wait, this is my.
Who is that?
It's Charlie Brown.
This is me.
What is it?
It's Charlie Brown. It's
Is
Charlie
that a gremlin?
Brown. What?
Is that a gremlin?
I'm so excited. I got this at the grocery store.
Wait, which one's you, Jim? I just lost track of which person was you. Oh,
No,
it's the
like
one
I
that's
say,
shooting
guys,
you, right?
and I just got this book off of just arrived in the mail. It's the making of the great pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Nice.
I am all about the good parts of Halloween. I know there's a lot of bad, there's a lot of negative, and all of us kind of group in church, and we kind of, we heard the bad side of it, but I just want you to know you can have fun at Halloween, celebrate with your friends, celebrate with family. Like Katie said, please be safe. Ben isn't here this week, so I'm giving the safety message. Please be safe. And you can find me.
You used to be able to sleep in a pumpkin patch, but not anymore.
I got to tell you guys, my biggest disappointment was I went and spent all this money on pumpkins this last weekend in the pumpkin patch, and to get home and the most beautiful, biggest pumpkin is now cut in half and half eaten by squirrels. It's just a sad day.
Call them, maybe they'll refund you.
All right, Katie,
All right, y'all.
Danae, we love you guys. Oh, let me put this guy down here. We love you guys.
Love you guys.
Okay, bye everyone. Have a
We'll see
happy
you guys.
Halloween.
All right, bye, Katie.
Bye.
The Michael Myers wave, like 2 fingers. Bye.
All right, she's going to do
How many
this.
fingers does Michael Myers have left? 2, 3.
Oh, that's right. He cut him off. And was it
Yeah, he
Halloween
keeps
Kills? Or
losing fingers.
All right, Cheeseman. So
He's like this little piggy goes to the market now.
all right, maybe we'll cut this out, and this will be all by itself. But Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills is the sequel to 2018's David Gordon Green written and directed Halloween. He made that. Who's the guy he made the movie with, Luke?
Oh gosh, I know his name.
The funny guy.
He's the funny guy. The funny guy. Let's get his name.
If you can look it up on IMDb,
Why am I talking like Borat?
I don't know. So, anyways, Halloween Kills is the sequel to 2018's Halloween, which itself,
like David Gordon Green or something like that. I think
David Gordon Green. He's the director, yeah.
Not.
But who's his co-writer?
Oh, Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. That's right. That's why we were kind of expecting a little bit more humor in the movie, but what about that? Anyways, it's the sequel to 2018's Halloween. Is a direct sequel to the 1978 John Carpenter classic. So it erased every single movie that happened after 1978, and it is a direct sequel. We, on our last podcast or a podcast ago, we had Natalie on with us from the Martini Scale podcast. She was going to try to join us tonight, but she was unable to make it, and we were going to talk about Halloween Kills. But Halloween Kills, Cheeseman, give me your assessment. What happened in Halloween Kills, and why is this something you would or would not say is a great film?
Michael did not die. So there was a fire at the end of the last film, and Michael Myers escaped, which I think was a good thing. My preference would have been he escapes, disappears for like a year or two. You don't know where he is, disappeared, and then he comes back, some random thing. But they decided, kind of like the original Halloween 2 that we've been talking about, to continue the night. So based on that...
Wait. Here's the original... Wait, look at this. Here's the original Halloween 2. And here's the new one. Boy, isn't that simple.
No gloves this time. Did you see it on the first one? It's like, so like when I was watching it last night, I was like, he's wearing gloves.
For those of you who are just listening, we're looking at a picture of one of the final frames of Halloween 2, the 1981 version, where Michael Myers walks out of the fire. He's just been blown up by Dr. Loomis. And then we're cutting to one of the first frames from Halloween Kills, where Michael Myers survives the fire and comes walking out with some kind of spade garden tool to make quick time of all the first responders that are standing out there. All right, what else?
I think he's definitely on the keto diet because he
looks good.
Somehow a state of pretty good shape. I mean, there's no like belly. He's like 60 something. He's old, as you saw in the movie. They'd show kind of like side views of the head and all that, maybe even a bald spot and all that. But
hey,
he's in shape. I think he does his push-ups or is just crazy or something.
So let's talk about Laurie. How has she fared through the years?
So this version of Laurie, like when I watched the 2018 again, I'm like, there was moments where I'm like, okay, this makes sense, because she kind of was like I realized it this last time. I'm like, they're doing kind of a Sarah Connor thing with her, like the Terminator 2 thing. But the only problem was that was her little breakdowns here and there. Although Sarah Connor did have a couple breakdowns as well, but I just wish, I guess they didn't. I understand her breaking down when she was about to kill him, like when he was like on the bus, but her coming to dinner and just seeming totally like out of whack and unstable, that just didn't play well to the Sarah Connor-esque thing that they're doing. And I think without that scene, it might have actually continued the Sarah Connor thing where she did kind of stay like badass towards the end and was doing the going room by room thing. Although with the first one, I wish they would have kept her house in the neighborhood, because like Michael Myers always works best in the neighborhood. And even with the original Halloween 2, when it spent too much time in the hospital, it kind of lost for him. But when Michael is just wandering the streets or in the neighborhood, I think that's him at his best as far as him as being the boogeyman.
I agree. So in Halloween Kills, we start off with the fire at the house. Laurie, her daughter, and her granddaughter are being transported away in the back of a truck, and they notice that there's firemen that are going to put the fire out. So
let it burn.
So they go to the hospital. Talk to me. What do you think? What's the plot? How did the plot? Okay, the thing that's cool about the plot. Here's the best thing. By the way, I'm not going to hate on this.
Oh, in Star Wars, where it's like have an awesome beginning scene kind of thing, and then just make them sit down.
Here's the one thing that this movie had going for it. It brought back the original actress Kyle Richards, who played Lindsay in the movie. She, AKA Kyle Richards from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It brought back a character played by the Tommy character, Michael Anthony. What's his name?
Anthony Michael Thomas.
Anthony Michael. Yeah, I was getting his name backwards. So they brought back the two kids, and they also brought back the nurse, the original nurse who we saw at the convention. This lady here, she was the original nurse from the original Halloween, and she was also brought back for Halloween Kills. So it was a cool thing.
But she also did come back for her other stuff. She was part of H2O as well.
Yes, she got killed in H2O, and spoilers, she got killed in this one. So in this one, she got killed the same way she got killed. She almost got killed in the original Halloween she was in the car and he was on top.
And they brought back the sheriff as well. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Sheriff Brackett. Sheriff Brackett came back in this one, which was cool. So they kind of had a cool idea of bringing everybody back and trying to recreate a little bit of the feeling of the original. But how did it feel to you?
The first half, as well as the last movie, the 2018, I felt like they started very strong. Like it felt like Michael Myers in the neighborhood, very kind of classic, the boogeyman's in the house kind of things. And they had a lot of good scenes where, just everyday people were kind of freaked out, looking out their window and all that. And I think they really did a good job capturing that. Although like in screenwriting and like Save the Cat and other stuff they talk about, and me and Jim are screenwriters. I don't know if we mentioned that in the show, but a lot of times, keep the press out is one of the rules of things. So like, sometimes the bigger press you get on stuff, like it kind of in some ways ruins the kind of small town thing. Like Stranger Things, I think works so well. Because
what do you mean by keep the press out? What do you mean by that?
Keep the press out means like keep the news teams, keep it off TV, keep it kind of in people's disbelief, or they're kind of like keeping to themselves, or they haven't been able to like report to the authorities, or the authorities don't quite believe them. I think that kind of stuff works better for these kind of films. And all that versus the mob mentality that they kind of did in the original one and in this one. Although I think they did it better in the original one because it just felt like,
you mean the 1981?
And yeah, in the 1981, I think they did it better. This one was a little too big, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this one scene that was a little too much because ridiculous because a lot of the insane asylum people escaped from the bus, and there was a few other ones that were kind of wandering the streets in this one, and they did a scene where I was in the hospital where one of the people were kind of stuck, but they wanted
one of the people who escaped from the insane asylum.
Yeah.
He had escaped, and
people were thinking he was Michael Myers, even though he wasn't.
Chasing him with a bat. They thought they saw him. He was in a car. They thought it was Michael Myers. They chased him. They got him cornered in the hospital, which was odd to me how they got him cornered in the hospital.
Yeah. But the dumbest thing is then the Judy Greer character was kind of like, hey, everything's fine. And then the mob jumps in, drives him crazy, and he jumps out a window and kills himself.
Yeah, so the mob shows up at a hospital to chase down Michael Myers. They get the wrong guy. It's one of the mental institution patients who goes up to the roof. He is so distraught, he jumps, and there's a really disgusting pile of body there. You know what's kind of sad about that scene? The actor who played that just recently died this last week. What? So yeah, it's really sad. I agree with you. That scene was so unnecessary and so I get irritated with you hear, and I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I love Jamie Lee Curtis, but she comes out and she says she's very proud of the fact that they were doing this commentary on mob rule or mob something. I'm like, whatever. Do your commentary.
Halloween doesn't need that. It needs scared parents wanting to protect their kids and kids scared of the boogeyman.
I know, like, let's not try to make commentary on current events and try to get political or whatever. To me, that whole big giant sequence was so unnecessary, so ridiculous, so not part of the film. In the original sequel, 1981 sequel, they did have a mob scene, but I remember Loomis showed up with the officers, and they were like, and he goes, the part of their tribe has been taken. They're striking back. In other words, there was understanding. Like, these people are upset because one of their number has been killed. So they just presented it as something happened without this commentary on, oh, this is bad. These are bad people. And I don't know. It was just, I agree with you. It was a bit odd. What do you think about the characters they brought back and how they basically killed them off one by one almost?
Well, I like that they brought them back. I think that was very good to do. And that, because a lot of small town people, they don't leave, they stick around and stuff, but
which I love, which is a good thing. It's kind of cool.
I don't like how all of them felt so traumatized by it. Kids especially are very resilient, maybe they'd be a little scared, but the fact that Laurie was already traumatized, I don't know, the cop, lost his daughter, and he reacted very strongly in the second one, although we don't count the second one in this one. But I don't know, I felt like there needed to be a little, there was the moment where Tommy talked to, the Laurie character was like, I'm going to protect you because you protected me. But that was, the most heart you got out of their relationship, which I really wish they would have kind of invested or something, or, as a screenwriter, again, had that line, remember what I told you when you were a kid, to just kind of I don't know, they could have made something up or even done.
I agree with you.
That kind of think happy thoughts or, that sounds stupid, but something that ties together to their endearing relationship that they had as, a babysitter. I didn't really feel like there was any connection between them, relationally, that they had this, this was like a child to me. This is someone I protected. This is someone who I probably continue to babysit after this traumatic event. She probably didn't get fired after being a badass Sarah Connor.
If she ever babysat again,
she probably watched that kid until he was 18 years old, so he could buy a gun or protect himself.
No, I agree with you. I think one of the missed opportunities they had was connecting the original characters in a more meaningful way to the Laurie Strode with the two kids that she survived that night.
Did she even have a connection with the other girl?
Lindsay was across the street. No, Lindsay was across the street, but remember, Lindsay came over and Laurie protected
them. But they even talk in the movie as adults.
not in this one. But Lindsay did not get killed, so Lindsay's still alive, and so maybe Lindsay will come back in the next film. I think there's probably a reason she's not dead.
She'll probably take the Judy Greer kind of.
Yeah, let's just say that
problem.
Judy Greer is very happy with the way that Halloween Kills. And by the way, if you're watching this, we're telling you how stuff goes. So this is a spoiler full of spoilers. Judy Greer, who is one of my favorite actresses. I loved her in The Descendants. I loved her in just about everything she's done. There was no reason for what she did at the end of this movie to go up and stand in the Michael Myers house and stare out of the window, just like Michael did when he was a young kid. He would stare out the window, and then Michael, somehow he's been beaten down, shot, destroyed, basically killed by a mob of people from Haddonfield. And here's the dumbest thing. They knock him down and basically knock him out, and then they just sit there and stare at him, and people start walking off, and he gets up and he kills everybody. He kills Tommy, smashes him, he's dead. And then Judy Greer's character,
the cop in the same scene, I think, too.
Did he kill the cop?
Yeah, I think. They pulled a Star Wars. They pulled a Last Jedi on this, where it's like, bring him back, get you excited, and then they just stab him hard.
They killed everybody. Yeah, it kind of ruins that for. I guess though it's a slasher film, so people die. It's kind of like Friday the 13th Part 1. That final girl survived to Part 2, and then the very first scene of Part 2, she gets an ice pick through the temple. I get it. People get upset about stuff like that. But in this one, it's 40 some years later. Judy Greer is the daughter of Laurie Strode. And Judy Greer, she finally switches over. And there's the scene where Judy Greer is she's holding up Michael's mask and trying to lure him out of his house. She successfully lures him out of his house. And the townspeople pummel him, knock him down, shoot him many, many times. You think he's dead. And at this point, you're like, I wonder what the next Halloween is.
Which is a great scene, but they were trying to build it for the next movie too much, where they kind of.
Yeah. So Judy Greer walks back to the Michael Myers house for some reason, all by herself, gets up in the room, stares out. And what happens? What happens?
Wait, what? The Judy scene?
The Judy scene at the end of the movie.
Sorry, I was like picturing this whole like attack thing that was ridiculous. Yeah, she gets killed by Michael.
Yeah, Michael Myers is behind her and comes in and then slashes her to death. I'm like, and that's the end of the movie. I'm like, that was awful. That was absolutely needless. It's just, I'm sorry. And we know the writer, and he's a good guy, and he does great stuff. But boy, that was a terrible decision. That was a terrible decision on the part of the filmmakers to end the movie there.
They need to learn from like the Star Trek that you can kill all the red shirt people, but you don't like kill like a bunch of like main characters like all in one thing. Like I understand if they would have killed like maybe like one, if Tommy maybe died, or the sheriff or somebody along the way, like like the sheriff's dying, but now he gets to go see his daughter again. Like that kind of thing, which would have been sweet. But it was just like. The deaths happened so quickly with all of them where you didn't really get to like feel for them. And they kind of, although like, I mean, you think of like, oh, well, because you were saying like, what's the point, like of the first one, like, oh, they survived, but then they'll die anyways. But in some sense, you live 40 more years. So, I mean, that's saying like, hey, you got 40 more years of your life. So, yeah. But
that's one of my complaints is when they do a continuation movie with the same characters and now I feel less satisfied about the original movie because they didn't really survive. They're just waiting around until he eventually comes back and kills them all. I'm like, except for Kyle Richards, and she probably didn't get killed because she's got a big fan following on her.
But they met at a bar every year, so I mean that was fun, I guess.
That was so weird. Why is it that Tommy, Lindsay, and the nurse show up every year at the bar to celebrate?
Yeah, the nurse part's right. I could see him and Lindsay or something, or
maybe.
They should have had them like married but divorced or done something kind of more with the relationship. I don't know.
And the thing that they're missing is, and you brought this up before, is wouldn't it have been great? And this is us just, we're doing armchair quarterback. It's easy to sit back here and say what they should have done.
Mm-hmm.
Laurie, instead of being this haggard, distraught, and by the way, trauma is real. I don't want to downplay trauma. It just seems odd that Laurie's character all these years later is still so traumatized she can barely function. But would it have been great if she came there's no Dr. Loomis in this film. There's nobody pursuing Michael in a way that Dr. Loomis did. And or maybe Laurie is the new Dr. Loomis, you know, but it would have been great if she was.
Yeah, but I think they should have made it more that way.
Yeah.
Where she was kind of wanted, but no one like believed her, you know, she's saying, I mean, they kind of did that in the first one, I guess, that she was like, oh, he's going to do this. And no one believed her.
Yeah. And
I guess
also,
in some ways she was Sarah Connor mixed with Loomis.
This scene right here never occurred in the movie, did it?
Yeah, was she walking in the hospital?
No,
I mean, she did walk out or something.
She got rolled in. She was stabbed. This movie was very much like the original 1981 Part 2 in that Laurie was in a hospital. Laurie was hurt. Laurie didn't hardly do anything. She wasn't in hardly any of the movie. Everything else happened without her. Michael Myers escaped from a fire, I guess. I don't know.
There's one more thing we haven't mentioned is the cop storyline of shooting his partner and then
what is that?
That was just so it was not needed.
You're talking about there's a flashback.
Great if you just edit out scenes that don't help the story along and that aren't needed.
Like just for those who are listening, describe what you're talking about.
So they did a flashback scene of back in 1978 when they finally caught Michael Myers, which they talked about in the 2018, that they caught him that same night that he escaped, wandered off, which I think he should have just disappeared and been legend, not shown up and eating squirrels and dogs or whatever he's eating all these years. But yeah, they made it. They caught him that night, and then one of the cops, who was a young cop, was involved. Michael grabbed like one of his partners or whatever, and then he tried to shoot Michael, but shot his partner and killed him. So then one of the other cops is like, just blame it on Michael, or just don't. I don't know. It was kind of like this needless scene of like he accidentally killed his partner, which kind of ate at him, but then he was just sitting in a hospital bed, not really doing anything this movie. So maybe the next movie he'll do something to redeem himself. But
I hope there's a reason for that.
Probably like needless and not needed in the movie.
Yeah, somebody associated with the production said, yes, we're being timely. We're even talking about possible police misbehavior. I'm like, shut up. That's not part of this movie. And just, oh man, that's stuff like that. Yeah, that was a needless scene. That was a dumb scene.
Yeah, it didn't really add, because I mean, as a screenwriter, like if you want stuff that moves the story along, and that really didn't, you know, like it should have just been Michael killed his partner, so he felt vengeance to kill Michael for killing like his best friend / partner or something in the past. Would have been way more impactful than just this cop randomly kills somebody, his partner, and then they blame it on Michael and he has guilt in his life. You know,
but you heard Pat loved this movie. He liked it more than the originals. I mean, more than all the sequels that came after the original, because he likes the idea that there is no sister. So just real quick, and let's end on this. Because I didn't completely hate the movie. I did not.
No. I remember like the first half you're saying like, this is pretty good. And same with the last one. Like you watch the first half of the movie, you're like, this is pretty good. This is taking back to the roots. This is taking back to the boogeyman thing. But then the last half always seems to fall apart for some reason.
Yeah.
Because in the first half, they reintroduced all these characters and they weren't dying yet. And then they're just like, okay, what do we do now? And then that feels like the writing gets a little sloppy the second half.
Yeah, Judy Greer has my favorite scene in both films. In the first one, in the 2018 film, where she's downstairs with her gun pointed at the open door, and she's crying, "Mom, I can't do without you." And Michael steps in front of her gun, and she goes, "Gotcha!" Shoots him. Fantastic scene. This movie, where she holds up the mask and she in front of his face, and she goes, "Come and get me," and she runs like she's running from him. And then she stops. You think he's about to get her, and then all the lights come on. She has lured him into a trap. Great scene. That was a good scene where the townspeople are striking back. I did like this. One of the best scenes is Kyle Richards, Lindsay's scene at the playground, where she's trying to help these little kids, and then she has to run for her life from Michael Myers. That's a great scene. Michael killing the people in their homes, the couple, when Michael killed the people, Big John and Little John, it was kind of
that was pretty funny. John, that was pretty funny.
That was
I assume Danny McBride wrote on those scenes. That totally seems like his writing.
Couple that lives in the Michael Myers house. I liked that. That was well. So there's a lot about this movie. a lot of the bones, a lot of the parts they put on the movie really worked. A lot. It's just that I don't know, something. It just kind of fell apart for me. It just kind of fell apart, and I'm really hoping part 3 kind of pulls it all back together. And it's not just one of these dumb scenes where Laurie takes the knife and stabs him in the face as they fall slow motion off the Empire State Building or something stupid like that. I just hope it ends well.
And one other thing we didn't talk about is they brought back the Lonnie character, which was one of the little kids that, I think was one of the ones that bullied Tommy in the beginning. And he had an encounter with Michael again later. And then they ended up tying in Cameron's storyline to be the son of him, which was interesting, but it kind of...
For the people listening, who are you talking about?
So Cameron was the boyfriend of the Allison character, who is the granddaughter of Laurie Strode. So they went as Bonnie Clyde in the first one together. And he kind of seemed very detached to this whole thing of the Michael Myers thing in the first one, which made no sense that his dad would have been involved in one of the people suffering from the post-traumatic stress of the whole Michael Myers thing. So it felt a little too random for them. I like that they brought Lonnie back, but for them to be related just didn't quite fit the feel of the first one. Because
Lonnie was the kid that was the bully to Tommy in the first movie. Yeah.
So I feel like there would have been reference to the first one if there was that, or he would have been a little less of a douche to the Allison character, when, her, Laurie's getting all worried and she's getting all these phone calls or whatever. And then, I don't know, it just felt a little messy that they just randomly make him the son of somebody else who was affected by Michael Myers. But I did like that they brought Lonnie's character back in. Yeah,
that was cool. And Lonnie being there's even the line of when Loomis was calling out Lonnie when they're young. Lonnie, I forgot what it was.
Hey, was it the same kid again? No, because I thought that was Ronnie.
Was it Ronnie?
It was Ronnie. Hey, Ronnie, get your ass away from there. Was it the same kid? I didn't realize that. If that was,
I think it was the same kid, Lonnie.
Oh, that would be cool. So that would have been the third encounter with this movie that he had kind of technically.
Well, and then what was cool, the best parts of Halloween Kills, in my opinion, are the flashback scenes to 1978 that they recreated what was going on. It looked real. It looked just like the original film. Man, I love those scenes. Those were good.
Yeah.
All right, geez, and we got to wrap up for our annual Halloween show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. You can find me at James D. Fry on Instagram, here at thescareguy.com. Cheese, and where can people find you?
You can find me at Cheese on Couch on both Instagram and Twitter, and on thescareguy.com. And I know we've been ragging on the movie a lot. I like there being Halloween movies. I'm looking forward to the next one. And we're just, screenwriters, so we're very kind of particular about what we want. Although, I mean, you'll see in reviews too, we're not the only people with kind of I don't know. But I just think with some good editing or scenes that weren't needed, hey, they could be some pretty decent films, and just don't kill everybody we like.
All right. I agree. I agree with you 100%. I don't hate the film. I really don't. I wasn't loving it. And the first film we've already talked about. There's parts of the 2018 film which I absolutely hate. The doctor storyline was the worst. Is one of the worst storylines ever in the Halloween franchise. Of all films, it was one of the worst. That is right up there with the Druids. But the second film actually, it was just a little bit always running, always this. The mob stuff was a little bit rough, but I'm gonna watch it again. It's on Peacock. It's streaming right now.
They're all movies you can watch over and over again still.
Yeah,
I take away that aspect of I saw it once, I don't want to watch it again. there's still a lot of good in there that I still want to watch it. And I'm not as closely tied to it as where a Last Jedi, a lot of people are I don't know if I can still watch Last Jedi again too, but it's
I can't.
Movies where you just make big mistakes here and there, it's just hard with big fandoms, when you make big kills or big kind of story choices that don't quite run well with the fans. But you can do a lot of good in the film, and there was still a lot of good in the film.
I agree. I liked it. I really liked it. Halloween 2, the 40th anniversary. I love that movie. and Halloween Kills. It's a movie out right now. I encourage everybody to go check it out. Also, check out our interview with Sandy Johnson. Check out Face the Shape featuring our friend Jamie Avera. And of course, go to our theconguy.com or thescareguy.com, or go to our YouTube page and check out Michael Myers returning to Haddonfield all these years later. Everybody, this has been a great show. Happy Halloween. We will be posting some stuff from our Halloween party this coming Saturday, which is this Saturday is the exact 40th anniversary of Halloween 2. So if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. Anything else, Luke?
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Bye-bye.